Today we'll discuss about the components of business environment. Business environment can be broadly categorized into two categories: internal environment and external environment. A business has absolute control in the internal environment, whereas it has no control on the external environment. It is therefore required by the business to modify the internal environment on the basis of pressures from the external scenario. Well, external environment is further categorized into two categories. One is micro environment and the other one is macro environment. Internal environment is comprised of the factors which are internal to the business organizations. Well, these factors basically predominantly determine the strengths or the weaknesses of the business. Usually the internal environment of a business is within the control of the business organization. Some of the internal factors which pertain to internal environment are: number one is vision and mission statement. The vision and mission of a company, it guides the course of the business. The vision statement describes the desired future position of the company. The mission statement defines the company's business, its objectives, its approach to reach those objectives. Whereas vision statement shows where one wants the business to reach at. The mission explains why the business exists. Secondly, the culture of business organizations is primarily established by the philosophy and the style of the functioning of the founders of the company or the top management. In order to be successful, its structure must fit its business environment in which it is operating. Next, it's the human resources. They are a very important factor of business environment. Success of every business depends largely on the competence, commitment, attitude, and level of motivation of its employees. Then comes the availability of financial resources, financial policies, the financial standing regarding the capital structure, etc. It affects the functioning and the performance of any company. Then there are certain marketing issues like manpower, advertisement budget, then brand equity, distribution network. They have a direct impact on the functioning of the company. There are certain resources like production capacity, distribution logistics, then technology, research and development activities, and quality of plant machinery and technology. They all influence the competitiveness of the firm. There are certain miscellaneous factors as well, which contribute towards the business environment, which pertain to research and development, reputation of the company, then business ethics, the competitive edge, and this competitive edge, it relates to the internal analysis of the strengths and weaknesses, which focus on the internal factors that give an organization certain, competitive edge over the competitors. Coming to the external environment, the external environment of the business is comprised of factors which are external to the business and which are not in the control of any purview of an organization. Such factors, they have significant influence on the growth and survival of any business entity. So first of all, we'll discuss about the micro environmental factors. Well, the micro environment is also known as the task environment and operating environment. It consists of all the factors in the company's immediate environment that that affects the performance and working of any company. The factors for these microenvironmental factors, they can be explained as suppliers, which directly impact the business enterprise. Well, to have cordial and healthy relations with the supplier is an effective way to remain competitive and to secure the quality products for any organization. The next comes the customers, where the success of any business depends upon the needs to cater to the demands, preferences, tastes of the customers. From their market intermediaries, they help an enterprise to fetch more clients. For this, each and every business enterprise is assisted by market intermediaries like agents and brokers, and this act as an ultimate linkage between the company and absolute consumers. Then comes the competitors analysis and monitoring is crucial if an organization is to maintain or improvise its position within the marketplace. So it's very important to examine the competitor strategies, and the companies, they should try to evolve their marketing and promotion strategies in order to get a competitive edge over their competitors. Then next is, in order to be successful in the long run, a company must take care of its investors. The company may keep them happy by paying them appropriate dividends and by safeguarding their interests. Last but not the least is the media, which has a very powerful impact on the success of an organization. Well, business recognizes this and uses media support for building their image and reputation. Coming over to micro-environmental factors, macro-environmental factors are generally more uncontrollable than micro-environmental factors. Micro-environment, it consists of the factors which are external to the business and somewhat they're uncontrollable in nature. Well, to discuss about certain factors which affect the business point of view, the macro environmental factors. First, I'll take up economic environment. To say there is a very close relationship between business and its economic environment. The main factors that affect the economic environment are the economic conditions of a nation, which refers to a set of economic factors that have great influence on the business organizations and their operations. These include the gross domestic product, per capita income, then markets for the goods and services, availability of capital, foreign exchange reserve, growth of the foreign trade, etc. Economic policies further influence the business decisions. All the business activities and operations, they are directly influenced by the economic policies that is framed by the government from time to time. Then thirdly, it relates to the economic system, where India has adopted the mixed economic system, which employs coexistence of public sector and private sector. The second macro environmental factor is political environment. To consider that a stable political environment is indispensable for a business growth. It includes the political system, the government policies, and the attitude towards the business community. The further ideology of a political party also influences the business organization and its operations. Political environment refers to three political institutions, that is legislature, executive, and judiciary in shaping, directing, developing, and controlling the business activities. The third factor is the legal environment. This refers to the set of laws, regulations, which influence the business organizations and their operations. Every business has to comply with the rules and regulations and work within the legal framework. The important legislations that concern the business enterprises, for example, include Companies Act of 2013, then Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999, the Factories Act, Consumer Protection Act of 1986, Competition Act of 2002, etc. Fourthly, the social environment is of much relevance. Now, one of the such notable factors that really plays a decisive role in the functioning of any organization is the socio-cultural environment of the region in which the organization is operating. The norms, standards, beliefs, and values of any society, they have a direct bearing on the prospects of any business, and that we know it very well. Societal values and lifestyles change over time, and the most important of these, directly or indirectly, will leave an impact on the business environment. Coming up to the technological environment. The technological environment, it refers to the sum total of the knowledge, providing ways of doing things. It may include inventions, methods, techniques, and approaches adopted for production of goods and services, and its distribution, which affect the way of doing business. Technology changes fast, and to keep the pace with the dynamics of business environment, the business enterprises, they must adapt to the change, technology, and the updations accordingly. Then the next factor, it relates to demographic environment, where it refers to the size, density, distribution, and growth rate of the population, characteristics of the population around, such as age, growth rate, the gender, income profile, the education, etc. Well, due to the increase in the literacy rate, the consumers, it is becoming more, they're in fact becoming more conscious of the quality of the products. And due to the change in the family composition, more nuclear families with single child concepts, they have come up. This further increases the demand for the different types of household goods and the consumer items. Next, the factor involved is natural environment, which includes the geographical and the ecological factors that further influence the business operations. Now, these factors, they include the availability of natural resources, the weather, climatic conditions, then the location aspect, topographical factors, etc. Well, it is always considered better to establish manufacturing unit near the sources of input. Ecological environment, of course, it plays an important role in the companies involved in business like mining. For example, the impact of climate change, it must be considered. The water and the fuel cost could change dramatically if the world wants only a couple of degrees. The last factor which relates to is international environment. The performance of any business enterprise is always affected by the happenings at the international level. So the International business environment is surrounded by multicultural societies where lots of subpopulation with unique values, belief systems, and customs, they exist simultaneously. Various issues like foreign legal systems, foreign exchange markets, cultural differences, and different rates of inflation need to be taken care of by the business organizations if they want to exist, survive in the marketplace.